It's the one, the only, Liz Wilkie.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm pleased as punch to be here. Also, I think that song is my favorite one. I really like it too. My name is Liz Wilkie. I am experiencing, there we go. I'm the Chief Economist of Small Business Intelligence at Chase. I've been in seat about 6 months. I came from Gusto, which many of you may know is a SaaS payroll platform that serves small businesses, and I came to Chase for the opportunity to serve small businesses at a scale that is virtually impossible to do anywhere else. I am also a rock climber. I am a new mom. My little guy is 10 months old. He's the love of my life, and I love breakfast tacos almost as much as I love him. I want to thank you all for braving the terrible weather to come out here and be here today. I'm sorry to inform you that after Kathy brought the innovation, Stasia brought the AI, and Adil brought the robotic hand, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen, I brought the charts. So thank you. They're okay charts, yeah. So I am part of a new group called Consumer and Business Intelligence. My job is to harness the data that is on the Chase platform about the business banking segment and all of you with your customers, and maybe some of you someday as your prospects, and to look really at the financial health of your business, to talk to you and the people that serve you about what is really going on with you financially, so that we can offer intelligence and advice so that you can navigate the waters of the environment as you go on and do the amazing things that you all are doing. But I'm not working for you guys. You guys are working for me today. You all have a job here. This is going to be an interactive session. If you will please pull out those phones and scan this QR code. There is no malware whatsoever. This is a polling tool. I'm going to ask you all a few questions, because I have national level statistics about how small businesses are doing from our most recent small business sentiment survey, but I want to know how you all in this room are doing. Oh, great, you guys are already up. Overall, I would love to know how you are feeling about the state of your business today. That's mostly stable. Yeah. People are doing pretty well. I love, right? My business is doing well. Some of you are honestly about neutral, and that's okay. I'm, full disclosure, that's pretty much how lots of businesses feel right now, but a fair number of you say my business is thriving. I think that's fantastic. Why don't we skip over to see how people fared relative to the national economy? So overall, business sentiment has been kind of on an upward trend since April. Everybody got the Liberation Day news. Nobody felt that liberated, and sentiment went right into the floor. But since then, people have gotten into the kitchen, rearranged a few things, decided how they're going to respond to tariffs, they're going to wait what's going to happen with the tax bill, and summer's honestly just a generally optimistic time for business owners, and we saw that sentiment sort of rise all the way up through July and then crest just a little bit into August. So to the next question, how have the current conditions affected your business's profit? Are you up? Are you down? Are you stable? Great. So just about under half of you are about neutral, which is consistent, more or less. In fact, it's a little bit better, yeah. About a quarter of you have revenue down somewhat. Unfortunately, some of you have revenue down significantly. I'm sorry to hear that. Comparing to our national survey, the biggest differentiator between July and August is that we did actually see a pretty big decline in the number of businesses that said their revenue was up year on year. Interestingly, that's actually a flip from July, where we saw a big jump in the number of businesses who said their revenue was up year on year, which is all just to say that it's a pretty volatile time for lots of business owners, especially when they have lumpy revenues, inflows, orders, etc. And that's a trend that honestly I think we're going to continue to see throughout the year as things sort of work themselves out and we get to a place of more certainty. So third question in this round is the third of 4 questions, getting them all out of the way. What are the challenges that you see with your business right now? All of them. Oh, none? Oh, that's very lucky. All right, help me out here. Let's see, cash flow issues. Reduced profitability, low cash buffer. Yeah, those are all pretty typical. Tension. Right, we still got answers coming in. All right, so it seems like the leading challenges in San Diego are cash buffers, profitability, and cash flow issues. So managing that cash, especially if your revenue is neutral or the same, that's actually a little bit different from our national survey. So most businesses in our national survey, here we go. Most businesses in our national survey said prices and inflation are the primary drivers for them. They're the biggest business challenges that they face, coupled with finding and hiring good quality staff, and then procuring and identifying suppliers. So I'll also talk about San Diego. The overall headline is it's pretty steady, a little bit subdued. And I will tell you, that's it. I'm going to tell you that it's pretty steady and it's a little bit subdued. Before you think that that's a bad story, I do want to say San Diego has a very vibrant and healthy small business ecosystem. So it's kind of like having a few dings in your Cadillac that you haven't gotten fixed yet, right? So I want to very much impress on you that this is a very dynamic ecosystem. We see lots and lots of good foundations, and I'm by no means delivering bad news. All right, but overall, businesses have very solid financials that we look at by the proxy of revenues to outflows. That's actually been increasing. But we have seen businesses sort of slower to increase their payroll. Employers who were on payroll last year, a smaller percentage of them are actually increasing payroll year on year. That is also a U.S. trend, just San Diego is a little bit slower. And growth for San Diego businesses is a little bit behind the United States. Okay, so San Diego is that pretty, what is that, maroon? Pretty maroon line. National average is the blue line. So our revenue to expense proxy, which is inflows over outflows as a measure of your cash flow or your margins in general, has actually been trending positive. So that is a reaction to the fact that inflation has largely eased over the last several years, and businesses are also thinking about building up their cash buffers, ensuring in their financials, and getting their expenses under control. And that's roughly in line with the US. San Diego businesses have been slower to boost payroll. That is generally a downward trend on the United States. So businesses in general are becoming a little bit more settled in the number of headcount that they have, aren't necessarily looking to expand, or they are looking to expand and cannot find the right people. So according to the National Federation of Independent Businesses, about 1 in 5 business owners said that labor quality was their most pressing issue. That's stable month on month, but it was up 5% in July. Part of this is likely the fact that we have low unemployment and people generally have jobs, and to be honest, are probably pretty nervous in this environment about switching their jobs, especially to a small business owner. Part of it is also that labor has gotten expensive. And if you were going to pay $30 for a hamburger, you want it to be a good hamburger. The same is true for labor. If you were going to pay $30 an hour, or $40 an hour, or $20 an hour, or whatever it is, you need that labor to be better and more productive, even if that is a going cost. And so what we are hearing anecdotally is that lots of small business owners are saying, you know what, I can't, it's not worth it for my business. This woman is nodding her head vigorously, so I'm guessing that resonates. And so we don't actually know exactly what is driving this, but it is still a pretty tight labor market. We do not yet know the effects of immigration crackdowns in recent times. We don't have those numbers in yet, but that is possibly a contributor as well. But what we do know is that small businesses, even when they want to hire, are having a hard time finding a labor quality fit for their business. The median business in San Diego across the industries that we looked at have growth that's just under national level businesses in the same industries. And that's also true for the 90th percentile. That little P90 is my fun economist jargon for 90th percentile. So you stack 100 businesses up in terms of their revenue growth, and you take the one that's better than 90% of all the others, and that's the 90th percentile business. So it's our proxy for top growth and how they are doing. And you can see these are also very respectable growth rates. So I don't want to, I want to really impress that these are very respectable growth rates for business, but they do lag just a little bit behind the US. Part of that is because these businesses tend to be very mature, because San Diego has a very robust environment. But over the last 12 months, we have seen a little bit of softness. Well, Liz, what happens next? So there are 4 big unknowns through the end of the year. One of them is tariffs, one of them is interest rates, one of them actually is pretty settled, but there is a real awareness among business owners about how it will affect their business. And then the other one you've already heard of from Slavia is artificial intelligence and how it will affect my business. And I'm going to touch on each of those, and then I will take it away. So right now, JP Chase forecasts that the effective tariff rate will be near 16% by the end of the year. That dotted line at the end is the forecast rate, and you can see this is a very long time horizon, all the way from 1900s. We are in pretty uncharted territory in modern times to have tariff rates, even at the forecast rate that we have. And you can also see this very large spike up, a number of news events, and a very large spike down, which is to say that there is a massive amount of uncertainty around what tariffs will be in effect, with who they will be in effect, and what it will do to your supply chains and your costs. I have nothing else to say except I'm very sorry. And I hope that you all can get in there and work through your supply chains and work with your suppliers. So many of you have said to me, I'm looking for domestic suppliers, I'm looking to try and reshore, I'm looking to try and find or negotiate my prices where I actually don't even know what my prices are going to be. Some of you have pulled forward inventory, some of you have just said, well, we might not, we're just going to buy it and eat it as they come in, and we'll just pay the costs because we don't know. All right, so now this is the last polling question. In the last 3 months, you guys have already skipped ahead. You guys are all the ones that like to read the last chapter first. I can see that. Great. Well, I'll wait for the last few folks to come in, but we can head over to the next slide, because this is basically consistent with what national businesses are doing. They're looking for new suppliers. About 1 in 4 of them are paying higher prices, and about 1 in 4 of them are also passing along those costs to suppliers. When we asked businesses in May, how much could you pass on of a 20% price increase to your customers, almost all businesses, over 80%, said I could pass some or all of a 20% increase in prices on to my customers. Now, anecdotally, we are hearing, I don't know how much I can continue to pass on to my customers, and that is a source of uncertainty for businesses. Yet, 1 out of 4 are planning to do so because that is how the margins work. And we will see how resilient the American consumer is to these price increases. So far, they have been very robust, and that is a very good thing. Currently, the forecast is for 3 interest rate cuts this year by the Federal Open Market Committee. So 25 basis points, that's 1/4 percentage point in September, and then 2 more between October and December in order to end the first quarter with a 3.25 to 3.5 base rate. And then that should ease pressure on interest rates for those of you that are sitting on financing or thinking about financing through retained earnings. We do expect financing conditions to get a little easier in terms of interest rates through Q1 2026. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, with that lovely alliteration, has a number of provisions in it that are relevant for business owners. One of the most famous ones, which you've all probably seen in the headlines, is that personal taxes on tips and overtime up to a certain amount are going to be tax exempt for employees. Raise your hand if you are familiar with this provision. Okay. It is the most famous portion of the bill, and yet 1 out of 4 businesses are either unsure or unaware of what the impact will be on their business. And I will say those tax provisions take place this year in addition to next year, so they will take effect soon. Is anybody a tax attorney in here? Okay, I would counsel you to consult your tax attorney about the impacts of these provisions on your business so that you can plan and strategize, because they are significant changes and they will make a difference to the bottom line for many of you. no good business presentation now is complete without a reference to AI. Stasia brought all the exciting stuff. I bring all the boring stuff. So many businesses are already using AI for a number of use cases. Raise your hand if you're already using AI. Raise your hand if you're using AI for a new use case in the last month. Right. Raise your hand if you started using AI last year, like 12 months ago or more. Yeah, it's already very pervasive, and I would just like to remind you all that 3 years ago, almost, the first iteration of ChatGPT became commercially available. It is an incredibly short amount of time to have this level of diffusion of a new technology. I would say that many businesses have not yet figured out what their business model looks like with AI integrated into it. How many of you would say that you have AI deeply embedded into your business model? Far fewer of you, right? And you all who are thinking about that are sort of on the frontier of what we think about when people are thinking about integrating AI. The way it goes is you'll find the first use case, the boring work, the dull work, and then you'll say, oh, I can think about how to use this more. And then we'll sort of continue to find new use cases, and the technology will get better and more specific to each use case that you have. And by that path, right, integration will happen. But many of you, I think the battery, there we go. I think the battery might be dead. All right, many of you do have concerns about AI. Nearly a third of you do not feel like you are equipped to respond to AI. The technology is moving so fast. Nearly 60% of you may think that AI is necessary for your business, but also be very concerned about the societal impacts of AI. We are all living in this society, and even if it means that you do not need so many workers for your business, you might be very concerned about what it means if every company needs fewer workers for its business. And that is a very real and understandable concern, and a lot of you should. But also, many of you, 4 out of 10, feel that AI is going to cause substantial changes for your business, whether or not it is on the surface to enhance your efficiency, or whether or not it will completely transform your business model and operations. One of the real advantages of being a smaller size business is that you have an agility and a flexibility to integrate AI in ways that much larger enterprises typically struggle with. This is an advantage, but it also means that things are coming at you very fast, and that iteration happens very fast. Okay, so in order to sum all this up, you lovely people in San Diego are facing some headwinds, right? You're sort of sitting in this very, I think, neutral place, which to be honest is a very understandable place to be, given all of the uncertainty that is coming at you all. That is basically more or less consistent with where the United States economy is right now. There's lots of people sort of saying, let's sit and see what happens, and San Diego is doing that too. We do have strong fundamentals in the economy, but with a very high level of uncertainty. So what do? You hang out, and you wait and see how things are going to happen. Rate cuts are coming. AI is also coming. One of my favorite quotes is from General Dwight D. Eisenhower, which is that plans are useless, but planning is essential. And I would say that is very true when you do not know what is going to happen. I would encourage you all to get with your trusted advisors and make scenario A, B, C, D, all the way down. And then think about what you're going to do in each of those situations to protect your downside. This is another favorite quote of mine from the famous Warren Buffett, which is that if you're down 20%, you have to grow 25% to get back to where you were. So think about in this uncertainty how you are going to protect your business, in addition to how you are going to think about growing your business.